Hi, my name is Abhishek Rajagopal. I'm one of the co-founders at Togai. Today we're looking at Reddit and trying to answer questions that users have primarily around usage-based pricing. So the first set of questions that seem to be in Reddit are a bunch of comparisons with respect to usage-based versus traditional subscription pricing, etc. Right? So when you look at how to decide your pricing model, there are multiple factors that come into play, but maybe we look at the top three or four. The first that you'd consider is very importantly the ICP or the audience that you're selling to, right? Are these younger companies? Are these larger companies, for example? What is their propensity to pay? Do they want predictability or they are comfortable actually committing some amount of money where they're willing to pay as you grow, right? Younger companies or young like to typically have fixed budgets and pay for fixed pricing. But as you scale up and go towards slightly larger companies, and if your product, of course, is very useful to them, usage-based pricing typically works better. The second is the kind of product that you're selling and your confidence in your own product, right? So because obviously the pros and cons between the two is in a subscription use case, you're not accounting for the fact that your product usage might grow very high, because if it does, you're still not making money out of it. While in the usage base, you are accounting for the fact. So if your product you think is something that has propensity to grow very quickly over a shorter period of time, makes sense to have usage-based pricing versus user-based pricing, right? A great example of that, very, very large company examples would be, say, something like Slack versus an AWS. Typically, a Slack is something that a company buy when they are smaller users, but the expectation is companies grow over time and users are added very linearly. While in AWS or a server model, the growth is many times expected to be exponential and non-linear. So makes sense to have usage-based pricing so that the revenue is recognized for that company or the seller. So the third, obviously, again, as an extension of that, is depending on the cost structures of your product itself, right? The same example again with respect to if your cost structures in AWS are dependent on the services that you use, it doesn't make sense to have a pricing structure that is fixed because your user might end up using a lot more. Broadly, again, cost structures, ICP, and your product would define the pricing models, whether it's subscription versus usage based. And it doesn't need to be either or. In many cases, it could be a combination of the both.